What's up, guys? We're back with All Ball Talk, going over this time the transfer portal QBs as the portal officially closed on the 15th. But obviously, there's no rules in college football anymore, so there's a ton of QBs that still have to go down. But pretty much all the major ones are gone. I'm using 247 Sports. I'm using their rankings to go down the list, but I honestly personally agree with a good amount of these. But um, yeah, this is the way that I'm going to be organizing and going through each of them. Um, there were a lot of weird things. We're starting off with the first one, Sam Levitt. That was a really weird recruitment. Um, when it first came out, then when the first day the portal opened, he was Kentucky. And Pete Nakos reported Kentucky's making a huge push for this guy. He should be pretty good, or pretty locked in there. They were the school to beat, and then all of a sudden he leaves Lexington, and he's not committed to Kentucky. And he ends up getting to Baton Rouge. And then it's this weird thing where, the Damon Williams news breaks while Sam Levitt is the basketball game with Lane Kiffin. So it was super weird, but in the end, Sam Levitt ends up in Baton Rouge with LSU and Lane Kiffin. So that's still really huge to cover, but Sam Levitt is not, in my opinion, worthy of being the number one quarterback in the portal. I think he's talented, but he kind of seems to me like someone who needs the perfect situation around them. I was not super impressed with him, especially this year. He was good, but he's not a guy who I think elevates your team much. He's not a guy who's going to lead LSU to a national championship, which is obviously what the expectations are there with Lane Kiffin now, considering what Lane Kiffin could do at Ole Miss. But yeah, Sam Levitt, not super impressed. I think he could have been a lot. I think it could have been a lot better for LSU. I think he's still maybe a top five quarterback in the portal, definitely the back end of it. But I think the next two after this are definitely better than him, Brendan Scoresby and Drew Mestemaker. Drew Mestemaker, just because of sheer upside, we don't really know what he's looking at the Power 4 level, but he could be a much better quarterback than Sam Levitt. But again, I just kind of feel like LSU, them too, I feel like they felt like they settled for him, considering I know they tried to go after Damon Williams, and they obviously took really hard at Sorsby, and then they got Sam Levitt later in the cycle. So, for those reasons, I would rate this probably I think it's a B minus. You got a quarterback who's talented, a guy who can probably play in the SEC level, but I wouldn't even say he's as good as Trinidad Chambliss. So, I'm what are you really, what's really the upside with a quarterback who you don't have your 100% trust in the fourth quarter late in the game, um, in a very serious, if you have Sam Levitt with 2 minutes, you're not as confident as you are with other quarterbacks, or a quarterback that's gettable at LSU. I think that if Kentucky were to land, this would probably be an A, because I think that's as good as Kentucky can get. But at LSU, I think you could shoot higher than Sam Levitt a little bit, especially considering that they clearly believe so too, with taking a shot at Brendan Sorsby before Sam Levitt. But yeah, solid B minus for me. I don't agree with 247's rankings at all. Brendan Sorsby, he was a lock to Texas Tech out of the portal, or even before the portal opened, but then for some reason weirdly didn't end up committing. He was kind of thought he would be a day one commit, day two commit, and he kind of ended up waiting the weekend, which was weird. But yeah, he's a really talented player. I think he's better than Sam Levitt. He has experience. He's from Indiana, obviously, before Cincinnati. We're talking the price point, $5 million, maybe a little bit too much, but you have to pay up for a quarterback. Otherwise, you're gonna get outbid. So, I mean, the more teams that are in it, the asking price just keeps going up. They had to do it. They have the Texas oil money, so I mean, I'd give it an A minus. He's a really good player. $5 million, but you have to do that. I think he's better than Sam Levitt, but is he that much better than Sam Levitt? I don't know. He has more experience, but Brendan Sorsby, again, he did put up numbers, but then again, it's Big 12 defenses. Big 12 defenses are not, you know, I think we saw it with Texas Tech coming out of that in the playoff, and they got blitzed by Oregon, got shut out, So I think that when they face the Power 2, like the Big Ten and the SEC, he might get a little flustered because clearly Indiana had no talent when he was there, but he didn't perform the greatest. He wasn't like this like shining beam of light in an awful team. It wasn't like that. He was just kind of ended up being an average, below average QB. And ended up catching fire. And he's not the same player that he was 3 years ago, but obviously it worries you a little bit because he's never done it against really really good competition. But regardless, he is a talented player, and I think that he's probably come a long way since then. But I don't know. It's just kind of hard to see because in the portal, the thing about the quarterbacks is that the best quarterbacks in college football don't transfer. Like, put it was with Julian Sand. He's not leaving Ohio State. Who's another one? I'm trying to think. Or Dante Moore. He transfers from UCLA in there, but Oregon's a little bit of a difference because they've actually had a bunch of transfers in, but those weren't top level guys. They kind of stuck on it. Like Dylan Gabriel was kind of like an under the radar to get to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma he got pushed out of Oklahoma for Jackson Arnold, and that was clearly an awful decision. But that's a little out of the ordinary. But if we look at guys like Arch isn't leaving Texas, although I think he's been Texas from the beginning, but he's not leaving Texas. Yeah, but then you got guys like Alabama's going to keep Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. So, those guys are going to stay and probably turn into really, really good players at elite programs. So I just don't know. Because I think it's an A- for Texas Tech, but I think it's as good as they can do. I do think now that I'm going over this and thinking about it, it is definitely the best that Texas Tech can do. He's definitely comparable, maybe even better than Baron Morton. Will Hammond, obviously, he'll be back. He'll have to take like a medical red shirt or something. He tore his ACL later in the season. But yeah, you're only getting 1 year of Sorsby, and as long as he keeps you in college football playoff, in the Big 12, it's easier than other conferences. But as long as he can keep you in the college football playoff as a winner of that conference, you're fine. It was completely worth the money if he does that. So again, yeah, I'm going to A-. Drew Mestemaker. Let me go down. Drew Mestemaker is a tough one because obviously, he had never played had a varsity start or anything. Wait, hold on. I'm not only in position. Let me go back here. Let me get the quarterbacks. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Drew Mestemaker. Oklahoma State follows Eric Morris there. Eric Morris is obviously a huge, crazy good mind. Super talented. Really, really good. He seems like the next coach on the rise. He's won where he's been. He found Drew Mestemaker. And obviously they're bringing on the running back too with him. I'm blanking on his name right now. Hawkins. I forgot his first name. But yeah, Hawkins, obviously building those two guys from North Texas into Oklahoma State. He threw for the most passing yards in college football. Super good accuracy, arm strength. Like, he seems the total package as a passer. But we have seen it at the G5 level. We haven't seen it at the Power 4. But Eric Morris seems like a really good coach. I'm sure he's going to have the ability to that continuity with the running back and the quarterback and like most of the offense. North Texas is a powerhouse, and I'm excited to see how Oklahoma State turns out. Obviously really good. He is different than other quarterbacks in the sense that he doesn't have as much mobility as a guy like Sorsby, Levitt. But he is really good from the pocket, and that's an interesting thing that's kind of fading in college football. But he's big, he's really good size, I'm really just excited because I think he has unlimited upside as a passer. And I'm serious. Like, there's a chance we could be looking at this and we could be seeing Fernando Mendoza in 2 years with Drew Mestamaker. Big frame, pinpoint accuracy, just kind of like those kinds of traits that are comparable to a really high level elite quarterback who can win the Heisman. But yeah, obviously he was a lock to go to Oklahoma State, so I'm just gonna give him an A. The best they could do, obviously, he's the third best. In my opinion, I actually think that he's the second best quarterback. I would still put Sorsby. I think Mestamaker is probably the second best quarterback in the portal, but I digress. DJ Lagway. This is a weird one. So they say he's committed to Baylor. Not signed. Taking other visits. I don't think he's going to go to Ole Miss. Now then, with this whole Duke thing with Darian Mensah, DJ Lagway might be going to Duke now. It's completely bizarre. It's kind of a ridiculous situation. But yeah, I don't know. DJ Lagway, he's obviously his dad played at Baylor. His dad's like an alum. It's an odd situation. He was super traitsy, and he was, I believe, he might have been the Max Preps Player of the Year out of high school. But he has all the tools, and he flashed at the end of his freshman year. But this year, he just turned the ball over a ton, and he makes these mistakes that I think he needs to get through as a quarterback. Which is why I think going to Baylor is probably the best option for him. It's good that I don't think he's not going to do a big blue blood. Like, I think that if he went to Ole Miss, I think he would struggle. I find it hard to believe that his camp would tell him to go anywhere other than one of those Duke or Baylor schools, because he can go to one of those power conference schools and just light it up. And he needs the time to develop and become a better quarterback to get to the next level, because he has all the traits in the world. He just needs to put it together. Like, he's incredibly talented, and we've seen that since high school. And at the end, he single-handedly saved Billy Napier's job at the end of his freshman year, because he had this kind of run that he looked unstoppable. He looked unbelievable. He was so good. Well, I wouldn't say he was unstoppable and so good, but I would say the highlights were so good. He flashed, and they were ranked 15th going into last season, and there was the hot Florida team with all of these. They were hot on the recruiting trail. Then DJ Lagway kind of shit the bed, which is not. It's not the end of his career. He still has a 94 transfer rating. Let's be honest, that's still kind of because of his high school recruiting ranking and stuff. But same thing with Dylan Raiola, who we'll get to next. But I think Lagway is definitely better than Raiola. Like, I would much rather take a chance on DJ Lagway than Dylan Raiola. But yeah, Lagway, Baylor is a perfect spot for him. He would be loved there. We saw what Sawyer Robinson did in that offense. Like, I don't know. DJ, he's a really, really, really traitsy quarterback who can become an elite quarterback if he gets developed in the right place. Dylan Raiola, kind of in the same boat. He is definitely carrying this because of his recruiting rank. He was not great in Nebraska. You guys have seen, like, he literally has been at a million schools since high school, or since his freshman year in high school. He's talented as a passer, but what have we really seen in Nebraska? We haven't seen much in Nebraska. He hasn't been great. Obviously, he started as a true freshman, and he started this year before he got hurt. But Dylan Raiola was not there elevating his team. When we saw him this year, I think we were all expecting a pretty considerable jump. We did not get that. I did not see a jump. He wasn't the 5-star that when you watched him play, you'd be like, man, this guy looks like a 3-star that kind of has to start because of like an injury. He looked like a backup quarterback who he weathered the storm. He kept him afloat. He was average. Dylan Raiola had some above average games. There were a couple games where he flashed, and everybody's like, man, that is the dude we thought we were going to get. But it baffles me that he's going to go to Oregon to try to take the Dante Moore route to sit here. I think that actually this is the only reason I would have some positivity in going there, is because we saw it work with Dante Moore. Maybe Dylan Raiola needs to do what someone like we saw in Carolina with Bryce Young. And Bryce Young sat a year. We got benched, but he sat out. He took some time, and then the last couple of games of the year when Bryce Young was thrust in, he played really well and he balled out. And the Panthers ended up being a playoff team this year with him not being a weakness, with him actually being almost a strength. Although Dave Canales did keep the handcuffs on a little bit, but and we saw with Dante Moore. Dante Moore could have been the number 2 overall pick, but he's gonna go back to school, clearly avoiding the Jets, which I don't know. I time will tell on that, but Dylan Raiola taking the same route gives me a little bit of hope, considering that I think he might need to just slow things down. He's been in the spotlight for so long. He was always in the news for decommitting and committing to schools. Nebraska, he started from day one. He's constantly been under the microscope, and I think maybe the same thing was with Dante Moore. He was a 5-star as a freshman, and he had to just get on the microscope for a little bit, really learn how to play the quarterback position, and he came back really good. So it could work with Dylan Raiola. I'm not crossing that out. I just don't believe that he is the talent of player that Dante Moore was. And I think he is living off his recruiting rank. A little bit like DJ Lagway, but I think DJ Lagway has more traits. But yeah, I would give Dylan Raiola. I think him to Oregon is like a C-. I don't see it with Oregon. I don't know why he's going to. I don't really know why Oregon's taking a shot on him, but I don't know. Next one, Darian Mensah. So this is the one that has been happening this week. This has been so bizarre to follow. So basically, Miami is offering almost $10 million in total. They're offering to pay off his Duke contract and terminate it. While they're still going to pay him an NIL, they're going to bring his sister over who's playing soccer at Oregon and pay her NIL money too, while also giving him country club housing. And I'm forgetting the other term, but it is insane, the fact that what they're going to give Darian Mensah, because Miami, they don't really have a quarterback next year. They struck out on literally everybody. Literally everybody they went out for, they literally struck out on everyone. Darian Mensah is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. This is a typical, there isn't a big fish Duke. It sucks, but this is where we're at with college football. He's just gonna get big fished out by Miami, or Duke's gonna get big fished out by Miami. Darian Mensah is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think he was second or fourth. It was one of the two in passing yards in the FBS. He is absurdly talented, and I think if he goes to Miami, I think Miami should be top 3 for the favorite for to win the championship. Miami has struggled at times because I think Carson Beck doesn't elevate their team. I think Carson Beck's a game manager. Darian Mensah is miles above Carson Beck as a quarterback. He is so much better than Carson Beck. It's not funny. I literally think that there's Julian Sand, Trinidad Chandler if he comes back, but I think there's Darian Mensah, Jaden Maeva, Damon Williams, who are kind of in that high tier 2 of quarterbacks in the nation. I think Darian Mensah is the best quarterback in the portal. I don't think that's crazy to say. I think he's better than Brandon Sorsby. Maybe around the same. I think he's definitely better than Sam Levitt. He's more proven than Drew Mestemaker. He is 110% more proven than Raiola and Lagway, who are living off their high school ranking. And this is a guy who has a ton of production at the Power 4 level. He came from Tulane, came into Duke, played really well in a dysfunctional Duke team with Manny Diaz. But if he goes to Miami, this is a home run. For them to strike out on everybody and then be able to get Darian Mensah out of the portal, that's really, really great for them. And it's really, really good for especially like you're going to have Mark Fletcher back, Malachi Toney, maybe get another weapon in the portal. Or not the portal, but if you have another weapon that maybe kind of balls out and shows that they can be with Darian Mensah on that offense, you're looking at a similar defense that they have this year that's championship caliber with a better quarterback. Like that's the dream, and it'll be a good landing spot too for him. I don't know. I'm a huge believer in Darren Mensah, and I think that he ends up being the best quarterback from this potential pro class. He's in Longstreet, so he was obviously the 5-star with USC. His brother entered the portal. He's going to LSU. Um, it's a good spot. He's going to develop. Lane Kiffin obviously is kind of becoming not a quarterback whisperer. I can't say that, but he brought Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart developed, and then he became a first-round pick. Trinidad Chambliss is going to get drafted if he doesn't come back to college. He's going to get drafted in the top 3 rounds. Austin Simmons is a little bit of an outlier, but that's not his fault. We don't really know how good Austin Simmons is. We just know that Trinidad Chambliss is better, or was better in a minimal sample size. But again, he's super big. He commits fairly quick, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's a good pickup for LSU. It's a depth piece that will definitely become really good, and that's kind of the same thing with the next one. Both these guys are big quarterbacks with big arms, in Houston Longstreet and Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight's kind of the same. Auburn obviously let him start one of the games against, I believe it was Southern Miss. I think it was somebody like that, but really good. Running, I would say throwing, he was a little bit inconsistent, but I like seeing him against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I believe he's going to be able to sit a year, hopefully, if Trinidad Chambliss comes back. But if Deuce Knight's starting for a year, fine with that. Deuce Knight's, it's a little bit of a gamble because with guys like this, their athletic profile is so advanced, and they're just like absolute athletes, and they're just amazing that it worries you a little bit. You get a little bit worried. Can these guys play quarterback, or are they just super athletic and got away with being that kind of just like super high level player, high level athlete in high school? Deuce Knight is one that his athletic profile is so unbelievably good that I would bet on it working out, because if he can build out with the way he can run, yeah, it's another good pickup for Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss, that obviously they've had a couple players leave lately with Princely Umanmielen, and then T.J. Dudley, or T.J. Daughtery, but and then they had Caden Lee leave today, but I think there should be if they end up starting Deuce Knight, that's a deadly running attack with him and Kawan Lacey. That's gross. I see lose Harrison Wallace, but you know what? It's fine. Ole Miss, I think they have enough. They have enough recruiting steam from this run that they've had that they're going to be able to be really good in the future. So I'm going to bet on it. I think Deuce Knight's a good portal pickup. Him and Houston Longstreet, again, they're kind of in the same tier where, like, they're both toolsy, developing quarterbacks who could definitely become Heisman level and top draft picks. Byron Brown, this was... all right, I'll put it this way. So these two, Byron Brown and Rocco Becht, these guys were confirmed going to follow their head coaches. Like, everybody kind of knew. I think it's interesting that they have Byron Brown not signed yet, but Byron Brown's a super athlete. He's not the thrower that Rocco Becht is, but he's a super athlete that should be really good with Alex Golesh. Alex Golesh, this is going to be a completely new team in Auburn, so I'm interested to see how it works. Yeah, again, Byron Brown, when he's played those really, really good teams, he played pretty well. Like, it wasn't negative at all. Like, he's still a talented player. Going to follow Alex Golesh to Auburn in the SEC, year one, the whole team got rated. Again, Auburn's defense was phenomenal. It's just that the offense was a fireable offense, and they did fire Hugh Freeze for it. But Byron Brown, so the dual threat, I'm a little worried that his arm's going to disappear in the SEC. I'm kind of worried that he's going to become a run-first quarterback. But he's athletic upside, so I'm going to bet on it, especially with the continuity following Alex Golesh. He's a dude that could definitely translate to this level, so I'm excited to see how he is. But, yeah, again, it was anticipated, but, again, a good pickup for Auburn. Rocco Becht, I'm torn on this one because I think he's good, but can you win a championship with Rocco Becht? I'm trying to think. So the last quarterback, so they obviously Stetson Bennett won multiple championships, but that was with one of the best defenses of all time. I'm trying to think who else won championships. Will Howard won. That's an outlier. 100% outlier. So Will Howard, you had a complete super team around him with unlimited weapons. So how do you really measure that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that agenda's gone, that you can't win with just an above average quarterback. But is Rocco Becht ever going to win the? Now, you don't need a Heisman winner to win the national championship. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that when you're in the final 2 minutes of a game and you need somebody to come in and win you the game, can Rocco Becht do that? It is yet to be seen. But again, continuity from a really good Iowa State team. He obviously got them to 9 wins. It's interesting to see. I think it'll work out fine at Penn State, but will it work fine nationally? Like, will they be a team actually competing in the college football playoff? I don't know. But he'll put up decent stats. I think Josh Hoover should definitely be ahead of them. Josh Hoover throws a lot of picks, but Josh Hoover is also super talented. And he's kind of that hot and cold quarterback. He's what Josh Allen. Think about Josh Allen just in the arm sense. He doesn't have Josh Allen's legs, but Josh Allen is highly volatile in the fact that he can throw a ton of picks, as we saw today in their game against the Broncos. But he can also just dominate games. I think that Josh Hoover is he's not as poised and accurate as Mendoza, but he 100% has the throwing upside. I think he has more upside as a thrower than Mendoza. Obviously, you're looking at Becker's back. Omar Cooper could be back. Other than that, I'm trying to think. I believe they picked somebody up. I'm forgetting now, but it's a really good pickup. Josh Hoover is I think he actually slots into that top 5 for me because he's proven. A little bit similar to Darian Mensah. Here, hold on. My computer started to die, but it's a little bit similar to Darian Mensah with the way where they have the production that we can look at and say that. But again, it's another good pickup for Cignetti. He's the one who has the upside like Mendoza, who could definitely get them to and keep them at the same level that they're at right now. He can dominate games just like Mendoza has. So it's a really good pickup for Indiana, but it's as good as they could have done. I think Josh Hoover is 100% a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback in the portal. It's just as long as he can keep those picks down, they should be fine. Austin Simmons. So this is extremely weird. So Austin Simmons got beat out. He got beat out by Trinidad Chambliss, basically because he got hurt and he kind of got jumped because Trinidad Chambliss played unbelievable. And as we're seeing, he's really, really talented and he can do it against the best. But Austin Simmons, he's got that lefty. He has that beautiful release. He's big. Mizzou, so I'm a little confused when looking at this. So they have Zollers. They're keeping Zollers. Austin Simmons is young, but he could be a one and done if he has a really, really good year. So, and obviously we saw Zollers, he's not ready. This is 100% upgrade over Bo Pribula. I kind of like him to be kind of like that Brady Cook type of impact, maybe a little bit more. He can stretch the field. He's got a big arm. Him at Mizzou, though, I think it's good because he doesn't quite have the ability to go to a blue blood and start right away. I think he's definitely going to start right away at Mizzou. But he could end up being bad. But I like to see the ability of him in a full season because I think it was kind of unfair for him to, or it wasn't unfair in the fact that he got screwed by Lane Kiffin and the staff. It was unfair in the fact that he just got hurt and a guy balled out. Like, it's not Ole Miss's fault. Like, they found the better player for the year. Obviously, Trinidad Chambliss went crazy, but Austin Simmons still has that talent in him. and that size, the arm, like he's the total package, and he puts it all together. And we just haven't seen him play enough. It's a little bit like Deuce Knight and Houston Longstreet, but he's a couple of years above. I'm interested to see how it is, because I think he could be super talented at Mizzou. He's a guy who he could flame out, or he could be the reason that Mizzou wins 10 games in the SEC, 9 games in the SEC. So, you never know. And then I'm just around the list, do a few more. Aiden Childs, I want to hit this. Interesting fit. Aiden Childs at Northwestern. Northwestern picks up Chip Kelly and Jerry Neuheisel. I like that. They have a good chance to fix Aiden Childs at Michigan State. I think that he kind of got benched for Alessio Miljojevic because Jonathan Smith had to try to save his job somehow, and in the end it wasn't good enough. But a 4-star transfer, that's a little rich to me. It's a little bit like Kenny Minchie, as you can see up here. Kenny Minchie, he's never started a game. Why are we giving him a 4-star transfer rating? We've seen him in spring ball. Aiden Childs should not be a 4-star because he's actively struggled in games. He was supposed to be this guy that just changes the future of Michigan State when he got there, and he didn't play up to par. But he needs development. I think that clearly that staff was incompetent, and then when you think about it, that staff hadn't really developed anybody out at Oregon State. I mean, they had Ugalele, who they had transferred in, and he played decent. But again, Aiden Childs, dude, he could be extremely good if he develops. So I'm excited to see that. I think this could be huge. Northwestern could actually be a power. They could be a not a power. Sorry, that came out wrong. But I'm serious when I say this. Like with that coaching staff, with Chip Kelly, who's proven, Jerry Neuheisel that they picked up, I wouldn't be surprised if we look up and they're top 7, top 3rd in the Big Ten. Like I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the season they're sitting in that 6th spot in the Big Ten, and they win 9 games. They have an Illinois type of impact. I wouldn't be surprised. And Aiden Childs is a super talented quarterback still. He just needs to put it together. Go through a few more. Ken Holtz, Claire Bully. I don't know. I don't have anything else I want to go. Here. These two. Keaton Hauser, Colton Joseph. 2 really good Big Ten pickups. They fit their respective systems really well. Keaton Hauser kind of has that Altmaier skill set where he can run a little bit, but he is really good throwing the ball. And Colton Joseph, on the other hand, is a run-first quarterback, which Jeff Grimes needs in his offense. I've hit on it before, but it's a good pickup by both. Keaton Hauser both put up numbers at their respective schools before. They're taking steps up. But yeah, both really good, and I was really impressed. Other than that's kind of all I want to go through. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these. I think that, in my opinion, having these rankings is a little bit off-putting. I don't believe in them. Like Sam Lovett's not the best quarterback in the portal. I think there's 4 guys that are better than him. But obviously rankings are what they are. We'll see when the season rolls around next fall. But yeah, this was huge. For a lot of teams. A lot of teams flex the money. They open the pockets. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time, and stay tuned for the next video.